And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. Got a different kind of game today. We are going to search for Planet X. It is not just search for Planet X. I'm sorry for besmirching this game. It is the search for Planet X. That is correct. So Search for Planet X is a deduction game. I like deduction games. They're fun. They don't have the most replayability in the world for me, but they are a nice puzzle. This game is really cool, and I wrongfully assumed, and you know what happens when you assume, people. I assumed that this was going to be a cooperative game. It's like, oh, how nice. We're all working to find Planet X. It's like, no, this is a competitive game with a very, very interesting solo mode where you're up against a bot. Competitively or against the bot, what are you trying to do? You are trying to contribute the most to society by, with your research, finding Planet X. And you can actually win this game even if the opponent finds Planet X, if you have done enough other things to identify what is in the various sectors in the galaxy. Now, the game does have two sides on this board. Very cool little board here. The one side only has 12 sectors. We're going to be playing on the side with 18 sectors. And note, when you play this game, you're going to want to make sure that you have a piece of paper that is oriented to how you're seeing the board. And the way to see that is down in the corners, right? So I'm sitting on the summer side, summer solstice. I am entirely there because this was the next piece of paper on the pad that we have. So you have the summer solstice, fall, winter, spring. That will help make sure that as you see the board, you're seeing what's on your little sheet here that you're going to have to make a lot of notes on. And you are trying to find Planet X. And in expert mode with these 18 sectors, Planet X obviously is only going to be in one of those 18 sectors. And to identify where Planet X is, not only do you need to know where Planet X is, you also need to know what is on either side of Planet X, which does ratchet up the difficulty of what it takes to actually make a guess. So what is in these other 17 sectors? Well, 5 of them are truly empty. The weird thing is if you search for empty spaces, Planet X itself will also appear like it's empty. So that's kind of a hard thing to do. But I'm telling you now, when you're going against the bot and the bot starts narrowing in on empty spaces, be concerned. I don't fully understand all the deduction that's built into the bot, but when he does a search or two, or she does a search or two for empty spaces, I know that they are going to make a guess relatively soon, probably within 1, 2, or 3 turns. So there are 5 empty spaces. There are 4 asteroids. Now, what's unique about the asteroids? The asteroids always have to be in pairs. Now, there can be 4 in a row, but there would never be one asteroid that's totally on its own. There are 2 comets. Comets are only in sectors 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, or 13, or 17. The astute among you will know that those are all the prime numbers with the exception of leaving out 1. So all the prime numbers between 2 and 17, that's where the 2 comets will be found. There are 4 dwarf planets. Dwarf planets are huge to figure out this puzzle. And the reason why is Planet X is never adjacent to a dwarf planet. And the dwarf planets are in a band of 6, and there is always a dwarf planet on both sides of that band. So you can't have like 4 in a row. Oh, it's a band of 6. No. With the dwarf planets, they're always going to be bookending a band of 6. Now, it could be 3 and then 1. It could be 2 space dwarf planet space 1. There are several configurations, but once you know where the dwarf planets roughly are, you know that those 8 sectors cannot have Planet X because Planet X is not adjacent to the dwarf planets. You have 2 gas clouds. Gas clouds need to be adjacent to at least 1 empty space, and then there's Planet X. In endgame scoring, you get 10 points if you are the first person to identify Planet X. That's true with the bot as well as for you. After somebody identifies Planet X, everybody else has 1 turn. If you are behind the person who has identified Planet X, and we'll see how movement works as we play here, and if you also identify Planet X in your 1 turn that you have remaining, you will get 2 points for every space that you're behind. And the reason why you're getting rewarded for being behind is it means that you have done actions that required less time, so you were doing more with less specific information, and we'll see how that plays out. You get 2 points for every asteroid that you identify correctly as the game plays out. You get 3 points for every comet, 4 points for either of the gas clouds. If you get both, that's obviously 8. Math is hard, people. And then 2 for every dwarf planet that you identify. What do I mean by identifying? Well, whenever this timeline passes one of these spots that is a research spot. Well, let me go even further back. How does this timeline move? Well, we're going to start moving around these 18 sectors. And as we move, this timeline is going to kind of move behind us to get up where we are to show us what the available field of view is that we have, which is always 50% of the board. And we'll kind of see that. Whenever this timeline passes over one of these research symbols, looks like the Microsoft document symbol almost, what that's going to do is trigger a research mode where you can make 0, 1, or 2 predictions. You're like, well, look, based on the information I have already, I'm going to say that a gas cloud is in 14. At the end of that specific research phase, this will move down. The next research phase will move down again. The third research phase, so 2 research phases after you put this on the board, it's going to move down again. At that point, we're going to do a peer review. If it's correct, great. You're going to get 4 points at the end of the game. If you're the first person to predict that sector, you get a bonus point. If the bot's the first person to predict that sector, he gets a bonus point. She gets a bonus point. Now, the bot will also be making predictions. I'm going to be playing with the bot as red. Notice I have all these yellow things over here. When the bot makes a prediction, they're going to be right, people. I'm telling you now, they're never wrong. So how the game has told you to do this is you're going to get the research tokens of a third color. That's not playing. Obviously, I'm playing as blue. Bot's playing as red. And that's going to just be the proxy for the bot's research. When it gets down here, the app's going to say, oh, the bot is correct. And you're going to just take one of the reds and just put it on to show that they are going to get those points at game end. If you both predict the same sector on the same turn, at that time, you would both get the 1 point for being first. And a lot of times with my early predictions, especially, I'm going to be behind the bot because the bot just knows things. Sometimes I don't know how. You can kind of piece together what the bot knows based on the actions that they've taken, which this app is excellent at telling you what they are. Now, I'm going to turn the app all the way down so there's no volume because I just don't want to deal with any potential copyright issues with sounds. YouTube's weird. I've had some issues with this. It is what it is. I'm probably being overly cautious, but you have not dealt with a copyright claim on YouTube like I have, and it's not fun. So we're just going to not deal with that. So I'm going to take my pad here and we're going to start a solo game. So should I start a new game? Nope. We're going to do a solo game. So we're going to go at the bottom of this. This app is great. Start solo game. Start a new solo game. We're going to play at expert mode. Start game. We're going to continue. So it has you code here in case you like have to stop halfway through and want to come back to it. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. I am facing the board at the summer solstice. Not sure why it wanted to know that, but it does. And now we're going to select a difficulty level. If you're a beginner, you get 8 facts. It's way too many. Experience 4 facts. Forget that. I'm a genius, people. Don't you know? And honestly, I'm really not. But I piecemeal together enough information from just looking at what the bot does that this is a good challenge for me on Genius. I will win about half the time. I would rather just stick on Genius because that's what I do. And you can kind of see my thought process with this game. View starting information. I'm a genius. I don't need any starting information. I am glad the app recognizes my brilliance right off the jump. Makes me love this game even more. Start game. Right off the bat, there's going to be certain connections that the app is suggesting that we can research because there's a conference going on. A bunch of people, really brilliant scientific minds, are trying to find Planet X. Now, this game is somewhat based on actually current events where there might be another planet out there. It's very, very exciting. So that's cool. You can look that up on your own time. But the kinds of research that we can basically spend time to find out what's being discussed in these conferences, well, if we research A, we're going to find out something, some fact of some sort about comets. If we do research B, we're going to find out something about asteroids and specifically their relationship to dwarf planets. If we research C, we're going to find out something about comets and their relationship to dwarf planets. If we research D, we're going to find something about comets and their relationship to gas clouds. If we're going to research E, we can find out something about gas clouds and their relationship to asteroids. And if we research F, we'll find out something about gas clouds and their relationship to dwarf planets. I used to research a lot. I might not research at all. We'll see how this game plays out. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're the most useless facts ever. And you're like, that's stupid. And sometimes it's like, I already knew that. But sometimes it's exactly what you needed to know to be able to figure this puzzle out. So we'll kind of see. The nice thing about research is it only costs 1 time. So there's times that we can get multiple turns in a row because who is the player whose turn it is? Well, it's the player who's behind on this board. Sometimes the bot's going to go 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, and you don't really have a chance to have multiple turns. But if anyone's played Taikaido or other games where this mechanic works, you'll know the joys that happen when you have the opportunity to take back-to-back turns. What is this X1, X2 stuff? Well, there are going to be two conferences that are specifically about Planet X, and they're going to be triggered at predetermined times on the board. So when this covers up Sector 7, we will then do that conference and we'll find out a fact about Planet X and its relationship to dwarf planets. And when we get to Conference 2, which is over at Sector 16, we're going to find out about Planet X and its connection to asteroids. Now, make no mistake, when you get to Conference 2, Bot is going to be itching to make a guess as to the true location of Planet X, because that's what it does. So let's get to it. I am going to go to continue, and now I'm going to decide what my first turn is going to be. I do have the first turn of the game. We're both in Sector 1. I want to do a survey. When I do a survey, I can survey everything I see. So I can survey as many as 9 sectors. However, that's a wide berth of the universe. That information might not be all that helpful. I also have the option to search a smaller slice of the universe, but I can only search, again, what I can see, and I can see half the board, which is indicated by how this middle piece is, right? So anywhere that you see a number, that's the part of the universe that you can see. If I wanted to search a smaller slice of the galaxy, but if I search only 6, 5, or 4 sectors, I have to spend an additional time. If I search 3, 2, or 1 sector, I have to spend one more additional time. So that's not always the greatest thing. I could also target, which I can find out exactly what's in a certain sector. The bot's never going to do it. You should never do it. It takes way too much time, and you will not win if you're doing too much targeting, unless you're super in a place where you're like, hey, if I know exactly what's there, I'm going to have the final answer. Good luck. But especially if you do that on Planet X is going to come up empty. So that might not be the most helpful. I'm going to do a survey. I'm not going to survey 1 where I'm at. I'm going to try to see if I can find out everything that's in between 3 and 9 in my first 2 turns. So that's my strategy for this game. We'll see how it pans out. So I'm going to do a survey, and I'm going to survey for dwarf planets in Sector 3 through Sector 9. So that is 7 sectors, and we're going to see how many dwarf planets are in those 7 sectors. So survey, what am I surveying for? I am surveying for dwarf planets. Thank you very much, Mr. App. And I'm searching from Sector 3 through Sector 9, and we're going to spend 2 time for that. There is 1 dwarf planet between Sectors 3 and 9. Super interesting. Right off the bat, I know that all the dwarf planets are between 13 and 3. Because if there was a dwarf planet in 1, there would be a band of 6. If there's a dwarf planet in 2, there'd be a band of 6 to 14. A dwarf planet 3 would be a band of 6 to 15. So I know the dwarf planets are between there and there. Or if I caught the other end of it, they could be between 7 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15. Right? Because if it's 9, it's going to go 9 to 15. If it's 8, it's going to do 8 to 14, 7 to 13. But I do know right off the bat that there are no dwarf planets in sectors 4, 5, or 6. So I can cross those out right off the bat, and let's see if I can't figure out where those dwarf planets are in my next survey. So I'm done. I hit continue. I'm going to move forward to time. So I'm in Sector 3. The bot is going to take their turn. So the app's going to confirm the bot's pawn is currently located in Sector 1 of the time track. That is correct. Turn 1, reveal. The bot surveys for asteroids in sectors 2 for 9. So you're going to write down what they surveyed for. That's super important. So survey, asteroids, 2 through 9. My handwriting is abysmal. They spend 2 time. Now they're going to join me in Sector 3. I am going to be next up for sure. And I'm going to hit continue now, and this is going to join up to where we are over in Sector 3. My turn. So I really want to know if the dwarf planets are here or here. And the best way for me to do that is I'm going to survey starting with 4, and I'm going to survey over to 11 and see exactly how many dwarf planets that we're dealing with in those 8 sectors. And I'm going to go to 10. Why 10 and not 11? Well, if I get to 10, if there's now 2, I know that there's a dwarf planet in 10, and that could be really helpful information. If I do 11 and it says 2, I don't know anything. If I go 11 and it says 3, I know that 10 and 11 are both dwarf planets. But if I do 10 and it comes up 2, I know that there's a dwarf planet in 10. If it comes up 0, I know all the dwarf planets are that way. So I'm going to survey. We're surveying for dwarf planets again. Let me write this down so I don't forget. And we're surveying from 4 through 10. Dwarf planets. Sector 4 and sector 10. Survey cost me 2 time. There are 2 in sectors 4 through 10. So I know for a fact now that 10 is a dwarf planet. Nothing else can possibly go there. And I know that there's a dwarf planet at 7, 8, or 9. And I know if there's a dwarf planet at 7, it's only going to go to 12. And if there's a dwarf planet at 9, it can only possibly go as far as 14. So there are no dwarf planets from 15 all the way through 6. What else do I know now? Well, if the dwarf planets have to be between 7 and 14, that does mean that 8 through 13 could not possibly be Planet X. So I'm going to cross out that line. Now, why couldn't they be Planet X? Well, again, Planet X cannot be adjacent to a dwarf planet. So if the dwarf planets are between 14 and 9, well, 9 and 14 are both going to be dwarf planets if that's the case. So there can't possibly be Planet X in 8. So it could be 14 through 9 and Planet X could be in 7. I just don't know that yet. So this is the most specific we can get right now, is knowing that Planet X is not 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13. Continue. Done. I'm going to advance 2 spaces up to 5. The bot's going to take their second turn. The bot's pawn is currently located on sector 3. Yes, it is. Turn 2, reveal. The bot surveys for dwarf planets in 4 through 10. Oh, you copycat. So the bot does dwarf planets 4 through 10 and just wants to be like me when it grows up. What a weenie. And continue. Now, bot's going to move 2, and this is going to slide over what? One of those things. So we go to a research phase. The player always places their research first. In a competitive game, you would place your research face down until you get to the point where it's peer reviewed. I'm going to be able to place this face up because I'm just playing as the bot, and the bot is not sentient. Well, at least I don't think it is. So I'm going to put a dwarf planet in 10 because I know that's a dwarf planet. I am not going to put my second piece of research on the board. Again, you are limited to 2. And we're going to see if the bot's going to submit a theory. So the bot's pawn is currently looking on sector 5. That is correct. Reveal their theory. They do not submit a theory. That's right, sucker. I got you. Trust me, it's really early. But we've made incredible progress. That is correct. What am I going to do now? Maybe I want to see if I can find out some asteroids. Asteroids tend to be really helpful. Or I could try to isolate these comets some. Now, you got to be careful when you're trying to isolate comets because you can only search from places that actually could hold comets, which again are only 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and 17. So if you get to a certain place where you want to search for comets, it's like, oh, that's going to be too narrow. It's going to cost me too much time. I could search for comets. I could search for something else. It might be a good opportunity to do a research. The thing is, what do I want to research? Well, let's research with asteroids, right? Why not? So we're going to do research. I'm going to spend 1 time. I'm going to research the relationship between asteroids and dwarf planets. Let's reveal that information. At least 1 asteroid is directly opposite a dwarf planet. Again, sometimes these things are not all that helpful, but at least 1 asteroid is direct oppo. Thank you for that information. We're going to do research B. There is no result because it was just a research, and that's going to cost me 1 time. We're now going to go to the bot's turn. Well, before we get there, the app does remind me that you cannot choose the research action twice in a row. It's something I probably should have said before. And now the bot's going to take their turn. They are located on sector 5. Turn 3, they're surveying for asteroids in 5 through 11. They are going to move 2 spaces ahead, and now it's my turn. The bot has done so much with asteroids that I kind of don't want to survey for them myself. What I really want to do, I want to see if I can isolate exactly where these dwarf planets are. So if I survey 7 through 13 and it only comes up 3, I know that there's going to be a dwarf planet in 14. If it comes up 4, then the question is, well, is it 8 through 13 or is it 12 through 7? And that was going to be an impossible question to answer, but it might be worth trying to really isolate these dwarf planets, or do I want to try to find out some asteroids? This bot is really hitting this asteroid thing hard. I know that there's going to be at least 2 asteroids somewhere over here because, again, at least 1 is directly opposite a dwarf planet. I could search 7 through 13 for comets. That I kind of like because there is a research that is the relationship between comets and dwarf planets. So let's do that. Why not? So we're going to surveying for what? No, I'm going to go back to dwarf planet. So I am going to do the dwarf planet search. and I'm searching for dwarf planets in 7 through 13. I kind of hope this comes up 3, because then I will know there's a dwarf planet 14 and a dwarf planet in 9 if it only comes up with 3 between 7 and 13. So give me 3. Yes. So we did it. So I surveyed for dwarf planets in 7 through 13. There are 3 dwarf planets. That means that 14 is most definitely a dwarf planet. And then we move over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 is definitely a dwarf planet. 8 and 7 are not dwarf planets. And there is a dwarf planet still left between 11, 12, and 13. It also means that 14 and 15 are also not possibly Planet X. So that was a really fortuitous research, kids. That's what I'm talking about. So we're going to continue. I move forward 2. This moves. We go to our research phase. Well, I have some new information that I would like to submit for peer review to the Council of Planet Xness. And by the way, before I do this, this should have moved down the last research phase. And now I'm going to submit a theory for 14, and I'm submitting a theory for 9. We're going to see if the bot's submitting a theory. What are you doing, bot? The bot is not submitting a theory. That's correct. End of the theory phase. This moves down again. These move down. We'll have some fun times peer reviewing and racking up some points. Cool. Bot, what are you doing? Bot is taking a turn. It is on 7, and it is surveying from 8 to 15, looking for dwarf planets. Bot, there's 4. I can tell you that. There's definitely 4 of them, dude. You loser. Loser. All right. This is going to go forward 2. This advances. Now it passes Planet X Conference 1. Let's go back here, make sure we do the first Planet X conference. And what are we going to find out? Planet X are dwarf planets, reveal information. Planet X is not within 3 sectors of a dwarf planet. Whoa, so Planet X is not in 7. It is not in 6. Planet X is not in 16. It is not in 17. We have narrowed Planet X down to 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Huge. That is a really nice piece of information. We're going to continue. Let me see how I can make this confusing and blow it. So I want to start ruling out some things. Because at least one asteroid is directly opposite of the dwarf planet, I know that there's at least 2 asteroids somewhere between like 6 and 16. I wonder if there's actually 4 asteroids there. And that's going to be really hard to know because, again, I won't be able to rule out 7 at all. I'm still surprised the bot hasn't submitted a theory. I could survey for some gas clouds, and if there's a gas cloud between 8 and 14, I know that there's going to be like gas cloud asteroid. That could be interesting to know. So let me do that. I'm going to survey for gas cloud 8 and 14. Well, I know 9 and 10 aren't gas clouds, right? So let me survey 11 through 16. Well, 8 could be a gas cloud. So if I survey 10 through 16, I'm really finding out how many gas clouds are between 11 and 16, which could be good information. I like that. Let me find out some gas clouds. So we're going to do a survey. We're surveying for gas clouds. We're going to survey starting at 10. Now I know 10 is a dwarf planet, right? But it's still helpful to do a larger number of sectors, so I have to spend less time for it. So 10 through 16, it's going to cost me 2 time. There is 1 gas cloud in 10 through 16. And remember, wherever there's a gas cloud, you know there's also an empty space. So there's 2 as a result. We'll see how we can use that information. I'm not entirely sure. And I'm going to move forward 2. I probably should have just done a research action, especially with that guessing thing coming up. But that's fine. We have a little bit of a cushion here. So we'll kind of see what the bot does. And again, the result is 1, not 2. If you're going to survey something, kids, make sure you write down the proper answer. Continue. The bot's going to take their turn. Turn 5 for them. Reveal. They are surveying for asteroids in 11 through 17. They are almost assuredly going to guess where an asteroid is. They're going to spend 2 for that pleasure. And now this is going to continue onward. We have initiated another research phase. I don't know anything. So I probably did something a little bit wrong here. I wasn't able to isolate any new information, and we'll see If the bot's going to submit a theory, I'll be shocked if they don't. They are on sector 11. They're submitting a theory for section 10, and they're submitting a theory for section 14. Well, it's not going to help us submit new theories next turn, but it does help that we're going to get one more point than them in both those places because we were first. So that's good to know. At the end of everyone submitting their theories, this moves down. That's going to trigger the need for a peer review. So we're going to peer review. We're peer reviewing sector 10. My theory is that it is a dwarf planet. We're going to review the results. Correct. It is a dwarf planet. So those two are just going to stay there. And by the way, the bot should have put out a yellow and then it's like, oh, it's confirmed as a dwarf planet. So I will do that for the sake of thoroughness. This is going to move down. We don't peer review that one yet. This moves down. We don't peer review that one yet. And we'll go back to the game. Let me see if I can find out the relationship between dwarf planets and gas clouds. So I'm going to do a research action and I'm researching dwarf planets and gas clouds. So I'm researching F. It's going to cost me 1 time. No gas cloud is directly opposite a dwarf planet. So we know there's not a gas cloud in 18. We know there's not a gas cloud in 1. We know there's not a gas cloud in 5. That can be helpful, especially when we start figuring out where the gas clouds are and where there's an empty space, where there's a gas cloud, etc. That cost me 1 time. This moves forward, and now it is the bot's turn. Bot takes a turn. Turn 6 reveal. They're surveying for empty sectors. Oh no! I hate when they do that. Empty sectors in 13 through 1. So they want to know which of these suckers is empty from there to there. My turn. I am now in 11, so I'm starting to get into range where I can start isolating exactly what's between 18 and 5, because again, I know Planet X is there. So I never wrote down that Planet X is not within 3 of Dwarf Planet, and the bot also moved to 13. So there's going to be a research phase after this. I wonder if I could isolate anything from here. So I'm looking back at what I surveyed before. So when I surveyed 8 to 14, so this is why I go back and check my notes. Deduction games are not my strongest suit. I know that these 3 things here, it's going to be dwarf planet, gas cloud, empty space in these 3 spots, 11 through 13. And I know that Planet X cannot be in 17. So if a gas cloud is between 8 and 14, I know it has to fall on 11, 12, or 13. And I know that adjacent to that has to be an empty space. So if I survey 11 through 17 for empty space, it's going to come up at least 1. And I know that Planet X isn't 15, 16, or 17. So if I see how many true empty spaces are in these spots, that will give me a sense of what the heck's going on at 15, 16, and 17. I could also survey for a gas cloud. That seems silly. Remember, I researched F. I didn't write it down. So no gas cloud is directly oppo dwarf planet. Oh, this could be helpful. So if I search for asteroids, if there's 2 asteroids, there's gonna be 2 of 15, 16, and 17. If there's only 1, I know that 17 and 18 are asteroids. So let me do that. I'm gonna survey for asteroids, and I'm surveying from sector 11 through 17, and I'm really just isolating those 3 areas now. Because also, remember, I know that these cannot be asteroids. So there's no asteroids around here, and I know that these can't be comets. So 11 through 17 for asteroids and sector is 17. It's going to cost me 2 survey. There are no asteroids in 11 through 17. At least 1 asteroid is directly opposite the dwarf planet. So all the asteroids are between 18 and 8. Wonder if they're all in a row. So I advanced 2, and now it's time for research. Yikes. I did not learn anything new. I'm not going to submit any theories. The bot, see if they submit a theory. Survey asteroid, make sure I write down 11 through 17. Result was 0. The bot's on 13. They are revealing a theory for 3 and a theory for 9. All right, this is helpful. What do they know about 3 and 9? Well, 9, it's already a dwarf planet. I know that. So they're basically just following me, those followers. But they do have one more theory out than I do, which makes me a little nervous. But in 3, they probably know that 3 is an asteroid. They obviously know that 9 is a dwarf planet. What have they surveyed for? Well, they surveyed for asteroids 2 to 9, and they have not been back in that area. So they know there's a bunch of asteroids there. Why they know specifically 3 is an asteroid, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm assuming, understanding this game a little bit, that 3 is almost guaranteed to be an asteroid. Is 3 opposite a dwarf planet? No. but 2 would also not be, 4 would also not be. So that's super interesting. So I'm going to assume that 3 is an asteroid just because the bot identified that. And now we're going to go through the rest of the review phase. Again, this is already at the bottom. This comes down, so we have to do a peer review of 14. Again, I predicted it was a dwarf planet. Results correct. It's a dwarf planet. The bot also got that right. And this is going to come down. I predicted this was a dwarf planet. Peer review, sector 9, dwarf planet. View results correct. Planet 9 is a dwarf planet. And this is going to come down. I've lost my lead, people. So the bot's going to take their turn. They're looking for asteroids in 14 to 3. Well, they know there's no asteroids in 11 through 17. So they're really just looking in 18 to 3, which is super interesting. And they probably know that 3 is already an asteroid. So they're really going to 18, 1, and 2. So continue. They're going to move 2. So if I survey for comets, I know that 13 is not a comet. So if I do 13 through 2, if it comes up 1, that's the worst. If it comes up 0 or 2, I know where both the comets are. That's actually really strong. So let me do that. I'm going to survey for comets. I'm doing 13 and sector 2. It's going to cost me 2. There are no comets in 13 through 2. That's amazing. Again, I'm assuming 3 is an asteroid just because of what the bot did. So 13 I know is not a comet. 17 is not a comet. 2 is not a comet. That means that there's a comet in 5 and a comet in 7. That's all hinging on me being pretty sure that the bot knows that 3 is an asteroid. How they know it, I'm sure someone smarter than me can figure that out. I'm just going the cheaty way. So I'm surveying for comets 13 to 2, and I came back with zilcho. Sounds good to me. So continue. That cost me 2 time. I go here. This moves forward. The bot's going to take their turn. The bot is on sector 15. The bot surveys for empty sectors in sectors 4 and 5. Whoa, that's nuts. They're trying to figure it out, people. They think they know something because I definitely have Planet X between 18 and 5. If they got to narrow down that much, that is super concerning. So they're going to advance 4, 16, 17, 18, and 1. And now we're going to have a bunch of opportunity to try to figure this out before they get another turn because our time is a dwindling. So 7's a comet, 5's a comet. So I know it's not Planet X, right? So we're down to 18, 11, 12. 3 is not Planet X. The bot's never wrong. And they made a guess at 3. Asteroids have to be adjacent. So 6 and 8 cannot be asteroids. So all your asteroids are between 18 and 4. And it's either 2 break 2 or it's 4 across. I'm going to see if I can get the relationship now between comets and asteroids. I'm going to spend all my research. I'm researching. Oh, shoot. Cancel. So if I do the comet thing, it's going to be like, oh, the comets are within 3. It's going to be silly. It's not going to really help me. There is no way I can see the relationship with comets and asteroids. I can see the relationship between comets and gas clouds, which isn't going to be that helpful. I can see the relationship between comets and dwarf planets. Now, since these are both comets, and since gas clouds have to be adjacent to empty space, I know that this can't be a gas cloud, and this can't be a gas cloud, and 8 can't be a gas cloud as well. So 5 through 8 can't be gas clouds. I know there's already one gas cloud between 11, 12, and 13. And also, remember, since this is an asteroid, almost sure of it, that there can't be a gas cloud in 4. So there could be a gas cloud in 18 and 1, but actually there can't because one of those has to be Planet X. And we have to fit 4 asteroids in here, right? So the gas cloud has to be between 15, 16, and 17, somewhere in there with an empty space. And the question is, which one? Well, you have to figure out where all 4 of these asteroids are is really the thing. So what I'm going to do is search for asteroids going up to 3, because if that's 4, I know those are 4 asteroids. If it's only 3, I know the asteroids go from 1 to 4. And that will really help me to find the rest of it, I think. So surveying, we're surveying for asteroids. I could do 15 to 3, sectors 15 and sector 3. It's going to cost me 2. Are there going to be 3 of you or 4 of you? Survey, there are 3. So I know that the asteroids are in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So X can't be in 1, X can't be in 2, X can't be in 3, X can't be in 4. X has to be in 18. There's an asteroid in 1. So I found 3. I advanced 2. The question is now, is X next to a gas cloud in 17, or is X next to an empty space? This is going to advance. Oh, it passes a research area. I'm going to make 2 predictions of where the comets are. I'm going to say there's a comet in 5. I'm going to say there's a comet in 7. We're going to see if the bot's going to submit any theories. They are on sector 1. Absolutely. They're submitting a theory for 1 and submitting a theory for 4. We know that both 1 and 4 are comets. We're now going to have everything come down. This comes down, this comes down, 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 and down. And we know that 1 and 4 are asteroids, not comets. They're very similar, people. Now, this is going to continue moving around. We're going to have Planet X2. Planet X and asteroids, reveal information. Planet X is within 2 sectors of an asteroid. Well, we know that already. It's adjacent to one. So that wasn't that helpful. Planet X within 2 sectors. Continue. My turn again. So I'm getting this double turn. And plus there's going to be another research phase. The relationship between comets and gas clouds could be interesting, because if there's a gas cloud directly opposite a comet, I know that 16 has to be a gas cloud, which means that 17 would have to be an empty space, right? Because out of 15, 16, 17, we know that 2 of them are empty spaces, because we know there's an empty space between 11, 12, and 13. We know that 8's an empty space. We know that 6 is a truly empty space. We know that 18 is Planet X. So all we don't know right now is between 15, 16, 17, 2 are empty spaces, 2 are gas clouds, which are which. I assume the bot is going to locate Planet X on its next turn. It did a target that's really sick. Oh yeah, and I didn't write down surveyed for asteroids, 15 to 3, and it came back with 3. The bot doesn't have a turn before my next turn, at least. Close history. What could I search for? So I'm in 17. I know that there are no gas clouds directly opposite dwarf planets. Well, it doesn't help me at 15, 16, or 17, right? I could look up gas clouds and comets. There could be some helpful information there, because if it's directly across, I know that the gas clouds in 16 and empty space would be in 17. So let me do that. I'm going to research comets and gas clouds. So that's research D. I was writing the whole thing out and I was like, wait, no, there's a shorthand for this. Research D. Oh, I actually never researched A. I changed my mind. So comets and gas clouds is going to be D. It's going to cost me 1 time, and I'm going to get a 3rd turn on the row as a result of this. So comets and gas clouds, reveal information. At least 1 comet is adjacent to a gas cloud. What? I'm very wrong. It can't be right. Huh. I'm going to move a space for that research, and I got to try to figure this out. I redid the surveys, and I realized I wrote down something wrong. So this is a 0. I was like, I knew I had to have something wrong. So there were no gas clouds between 11 and 13. I just made something up. So there's no asteroids between 11 and 17, though. There's no comets between 13 and 2. 3, I'm still pretty sure is an asteroid. It just means that one of the comets has to be 13 or 11. And it means that this is wrong. And a lot of my assumptions about the rest of that played out different now. So there's got to be a gas cloud somewhere over here. So 5 or 7 or a comet, then the gas cloud has to be either 4 or 6. I'll say it's probably 6. One of those comets is right. One of those comets is wrong. And then one of these is empty space. So we have gas cloud, comet, empty space. This is going to be comet, empty space, and dwarf planet. This kind of leaves us back in the same spot, though, with these 4 asteroids across and gas cloud, empty space, and empty space. I mean, it really hasn't changed anything. Like, so I had something majorly wrong, and it still is kind of the same puzzle. And I still feel fairly convinced that this is Planet X. I'm going to have to make up those points, though, because one of these is totally wrong. Now, during the game, if you have a wrong theory, you just have to advance one. At the end of the game, there's no penalty. We obviously just don't get the points. So that's a little bit forgiving. I can't research again, but at least 1 asteroid is directly opposite a dwarf planet. That is correct. At least 1 comet is adjacent to a gas cloud. Again, it's going to be 5 or 7. We're not sure which yet. No gas clouds are directly opposite a dwarf planet. So gas cloud, that is still good. Planet X is not within 3 of a dwarf planet. We know that. And Planet X is within 2 sectors of an asteroid. We know that. So we're still kind of stuck with the same conundrum. And I really have no way to search 15, 16, or 17. So all we can kind of do right now is venture a really unfortunate guess. I mean, there's a 2 out of 3 chance that it's going to be empty space, right? It's 17. So that's probably your guess. One of the things I could do is guess, see what the bot does, and then guess the other. The interesting thing about searching for asteroids is, this odd number is a huge flag that, hey, the one next to it's got to be an asteroid. Remember that I ruled out 11 through 17. There were no asteroids there. So then when I did the 15 through 3 and it came up 3, well, 4 has to be an asteroid. And that just kind of put everything else in a line, which checks out with what I'm seeing with what the bot's doing, right? So I'm going to venture a guess that 17 is empty space. Again, 2/3 of the time I'm going to be correct. Let's play the averages. So let's locate planet X. See if we can't get a little bit lucky. Locate planet X. It's going to be in sector 18. What's in 17? Empty space, please. Hopefully, maybe. And what is in 1? It's going to be an asteroid. You did not locate planet X. At least one piece of information you entered is incorrect. I move forward 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This moves. We go to our research phase. Well, what do I know now? 17 is a gas cloud. So when I'm going to do my researching, I'm going to put a gas cloud in 17. What else do I want to identify? Well, more points for comets and anything else, but I've already used both my comet theory, so I can't do that. So remember, I think that the other gas cloud is here because it has to be adjacent to a comet, and 8 has to be empty space instead of a gas cloud because the gas cloud has to be adjacent to empty space itself. So I'm going to try to make up points with doing theories for the gas clouds. What is the bot going to do? The bot is going to submit a theory. It's submitting a theory that it knows what's in 18. What? Well, that just totally ruins my life. That means that planet X isn't in 18? Wow. Does that put planet X in 17? Why did I think planet X was in 18? Oh, because it couldn't be within 3 of a dwarf planet. Oh, is planet X 2? Is it 2 asteroid? That's the only other thing that could work. Planet X is in 2, and the 3 asteroids are 18, 1, and 3. And then we have that. Okay, that's my next guess, I guess. Wow, that's crazy. So my guesses are totally whacked out here. So we're going to continue. We're going to take the bot's turn. They are almost assuredly going to identify planet X. No, they researched. Wow. So I located, I failed. It cost me 5 time. The bot researched. Well, that's right. I'm way ahead of them. So I guess it doesn't really matter that much. So they're going to research C. They move 1 time. This advances. Continue. What are they going to do on turn 10? The bot is going to survey gas clouds from 2 to 8. Oh, I should have done the rest of the research phase. So 3 comes down, peer review 3, and we are going to select the bot because this is one of the bot's theories. View results. Correct. It's an asteroid. Good job, bot. 17 comes down, 18 comes down, 1 comes down, 4 comes down, 5 goes down, 6 goes down, 7 goes down, and nothing else was due for peer review. So the bot just surveyed gas clouds 2 through 8. They're going to move 2 more spaces, and now the bot's going to have its 11th turn. It's surveying for gas clouds 6 through 12. This is really weird. Gas clouds 6 through 12. It moves 2. Continue. It's got to be 2, or I'm just really off here. This is hilarious. Doing this while recording is a different experience. I'm not going to lie. No excuses. I'm just letting you know. Yay! I found planet X. It is 2. Just like I always expected, with a comet and a comet. So I advance 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bot needs to know where I am on the time track. I'm going to select my sector. I'm in sector 10. Continue. The bots want to currently look at 6. That's true. Reveal. They successfully identified planet X. Good for them, bot. They are 4 spaces behind me, so they are going to get 8 points for that. Continue. We now have to see everything. So end game and reveal objects. Wait a second. When the bot advanced here. There should have been another research phase. The only thing I could have done is submitted reviews for asteroids that I already knew, which would have been 18-1 or 4. So that would have been 4 points for me, but the bot obviously would have had more points because it has a +1. We can assume the bot would have submitted theories, potentially stuff that I already had. Hopefully that would have been kind of a wash as far as the points go, but it's impossible to go back that I already did the bot's last turn. So sorry about that. We'll see how that's reflected on the score. If it's within 1 or 2, bot probably would have won, is my guess. So the bot's finished. I'm finished. Let's reveal the object. Yes, and game. So did either of us make any guesses in 1? The bot did. That is an asteroid. The bot's going to get points for that. The bot's going to get points for knowing that 3 was an asteroid. The bot's going to get points for knowing that 4 was an asteroid. 5 was an empty sector, so that's just wrong. 6 was indeed a gas cloud. 7 was a comet. 8 was an empty sector. We already did the dwarf planets, and with 17 an empty sector. 17 was an empty sector. We know that the bot was correct on 18 being an asteroid. So how would this work out with scoring? Well, I would get 10 points for locating planet X first. As far as being first to make a theory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was first 5 times, so I get 5 points for that. The bot's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 points for that. The bot got 8 points for knowing where all comets were. I got 0 because I didn't submit any theories for that. So 0 and 8. The comet, I get 3 points. Bot gets 0. Gas cloud, I get 4 points. Bot gets 0. And dwarf planets, I get 6 points. Bot gets 6. Final score is 8, 12, 18, 26 for me. And the bot has 4, 12, 0, 18, 26 itself. So the bot would have definitely won if we did peer review. So put it this way. I already got another 4 points for comments because it's the only thing I could have predicted. In some ways, the scoring is a little bit superfluous. It's cool just to find Planet X. It's nicer when you do it on your first guess, but I've definitely had multiple games where I'm like, it's between these two things and I'm wrong. And then the bot takes extra turns. This was weird seeing them take 12 turns. Normally the bot is going to make a guess within 9, 10, or 11 turns. So it's unclear what was going on there, but on expert, they're super quick. But I do feel like when you make a guess and you're wrong, there's something in the programming where it does seem to like give you 2 or 3 more turns where the bot's just kind of farting around a little bit and gives you a chance to still win or tie or maybe win if Greg was actually being a little bit more systematic in following all of this, because I missed it, people. It was right there. I just missed it. But definitely had some wrong theories. Sometimes with gas clouds and comets, though, it does help just to make a wrong guess, especially late game. If it's not going to give you that penalty, it's like, whatever, who cares? And you're just trying to rack up points. Again, the game is not Search for Planet X. It's like one of those racing games where it's like, oh, you don't have to necessarily win the race. Did you get the most money and make the most fans? Like, don't always love that. But especially this, you do want to at least find Planet X. It feels really terrible when you win and you didn't find Planet X just because you found everything else. That's like, oh, great. It's a little unsatisfying. But it's winning, I guess. It's kind of cool. So there is like a built-in goal. It's like a fear victory in Spirit Island when you look at the board and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of plastic. I still won. Yay. I guess what just happened. So it's very similar to that for me, but cool little game. Glad to get it on the channel. Sorry about the little confusion here at the end, but whatever. It was fun. I am borrowing this from my friend Charlie. Yes, it is the same Charlie who has lent me Anachrony for a while. So yeah, Charlie's a good friend and I appreciate him lending me games for the purpose of this channel. It's a really helpful service to me and hopefully to all y'all as well. And with that, I am going to start my standard speech. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or epiphanies. Put them in the comment section below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to see what is coming up in Solo Playthroughs land, you can go to my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. and I put a public post at the beginning of every month, posted about a week before every month, with the schedule for the month to come. So definitely check that out while you're there. If there is any tier of patronage that makes sense for you, please consider that. I would really appreciate the extra support. And other than that, the likes, comments, watch time, subscriptions, all of that has really helped this channel continue to grow. And that is all very cool with me. So nothing more to say here. Thanks again for joining me. And until next time, happy gaming.